Hello, it is I, Michelle Denise Norton, and I'm doing practice interviews, so I get to slow down for Give Local York when I have to do one on Fox 43. So Gail, pitch me a question.
So tell us about your organization.
We kickstarted ourselves about 5 years ago because I was running a program that took Shakespeare to parks, and nobody wanted me to stop running a program that took Shakespeare to parks except for the people who are currently funding it. So we funded it ourselves with $1,500, spent a couple years taking Shakespeare to parks, added winter comedies in because I love comedies and I always wanted to direct at least 2 shows a year. And then when the pandemic hit, we pivoted to virtual, and so we have a YouTube channel full of all this great comedy that we've been doing. And now that people are getting back out into the world more, we're going to go back into parks with the Trail to Oregon, and we're all very excited about it. I'm not directing it. We have Sky Williams, who's been involved with us from the beginning, they're directing, and it's going to be very exciting.
So tell me more about the show you have coming up.
The Trail to Oregon, it's based on the game Oregon Trail, where, spoiler, you went to Oregon and various people died and there were oxen and pioneers and etc. And so the audience gets to vote on which character dies. It's a modern musical comedy. It's very funny. It's got like it's got a smaller cast, which is part of why we're bringing it to the parks instead of Shakespeare, because I think we have to rebuild audiences and rebuild actors and get people used to doing things again. It's a PG-13 show, so people can feel free to bring their teenagers. We always do stuff for free, so I always say that people pay me more after they see one of our shows than they will before, so you can come, spread out a picnic blanket, and afterwards we pass the hat if you can, if you want to support us.
All right. So what are you hoping to get out of Give Local York?
Well, honestly, we don't have budgets for much of anything. Most of the work I do is in the public domain because I think a lot of theaters put pressure on the people who go to them to too much financial pressure, and that makes it difficult for many people because theater is expensive. And so, we've invested a lot of money in the Trail to Oregon because usually we do plays in the public domain and I had to pay out for royalties, but I think it's important to do a modern comedy. And also, we want to reintroduce ourselves to the community because you've probably never heard of us, and I have a whole YouTube channel full of funny shows that we've been doing, and we have been actually working really hard, but it's really hard to break into the community when you're a smaller all-volunteer theater. And so part of what we want to do with Kickstarter is
Not Kickstarter.
No, Kickstarter.
Give Local York.
Give Local York. This is why we're practicing, is to get some more money so we can keep investing our time and talent in the community. I've met a lot of people who work very hard and they're very happy to share their talents, and I'm very grateful that they're willing to do it as volunteers, which allows us to do a lot of stuff for free. But there are expenses involved with any kind of art. We have insurance, we have scripts, we have the Zoom, we have the royalties for Trail to Oregon, and so when we get the community support, that encourages us to do more for York and the general community, because I really do want to make classics and theater in general more accessible. I mean, it's so unaffordable nowadays. I can't even afford to take my wife on a theater date in most places, except for high schools. York has really good high school theater, which is part of why there's so much interest in local theater, which is great. I mean, York has a lot of musicals and theater and art, and we moved here from Chicago, and once we got introduced to the local art scene, I always wondered why there were a whole lot of people who would always be like, I want to move out of York, and I'm like, it's affordable, there's art, you're right by Philly and DC and Baltimore, it's not so bad. So we've been living here for more than 30 years now, right?
Yes.
And yeah, I like doing art in York. And so Give Local York is a way for me, Michelle Denise Norton, to reintroduce myself as the creative engine of Upstart Arts and get you to meet all the wonderful people who've been doing Upstart stuff for these past 5 years.
All right. Anything else you want to say?
Well, thank you for your support. We call ourselves a theatrical cryptid because you can never really tell what we're going to do next or where we're going to be. But so start paying attention to us. Take care.